All right, you guys, new scientific discovery, you gotta listen to this. Scientists have discovered a revolutionary new treatment that makes you live longer, enhances your memory, and makes you more creative. It makes you look more attractive, it keeps you slim with lower food cravings, it protects you from cancer and dementia, wards off the cold and flu, maybe coronavirus. It lowers your risk of heart attacks, strokes, not to mention diabetes. You'll feel even happier, less depressed, and less anxious. Now, you interested? I know you'll be thinking, Adam, that sounds way too good to be true, but if I could put all that in a pill and give it to you, would you take it? I think a lot of us would say yes, but the reality is that you don't need to go to a pharmacy to get it. You can get it right now in your own bedroom, and it's called sleep. And on today's mastery lesson, we are gonna make a foundational statement about why you need more sleep. We're gonna identify the ways that you're falling short and preventing you from getting the sleep that you need. And we're gonna talk about some tools and tactics you can implement tonight, not only to get a better night's sleep tomorrow, but wake up with more energy, vitality, and passion for the life that you wanna have. So let's go ahead and dive in. Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Adam over at Teach You Freedom, where, as you know, it is our mission to help you break free from your own mind and bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to go. On today's mastery lesson, we are talking everything sleep, and I'm super jazzed up about this. I love this topic because this is why it's so important, okay? If you're in this sphere of personal development, you're watching this video, you're like me, so much of what we do is all about the tools and tactics, right? How to lose 10 pounds in 10 days, how to make more money, how to find the spouse of your dreams, right? But what people don't talk about is the energy and vitality you need to sustain that over the long term to get to the life that you want. If you don't have the ability to sustain that for long periods of time, you're gonna fall short, fail, and become bitter, right? We need to build this energy system that allows us to operate at this high level with these tools and tactics for the long term, because over the long term is where we see results, and we need to be able to sustain this amount of effort that it takes to implement these things. And we need to have that foundational level of health, and it all begins with sleep. Sleep is that foundational element that we need to sustain our energy, our vitality, our passion, our purpose, wake up full of enthusiasm. So on today's lesson, that's what we're going to talk about. Three main categories I want to talk to you guys about. First and foremost, we're going to talk about why we need sleep. Two, we're going to talk about what's getting in the way. And then thirdly, we're going to talk about some tactics that you can implement to get some better sleep tonight and wake up with more energy. So let's go ahead and dive in. So big idea number one, why do we need sleep? And sleep's got a bad rap the past couple decades, right? We live in this hustle culture. It's usually the first thing to go when we need more time in our days. But the reality is that every single living organism that we've studied sleeps. Yep, insects sleep, fish sleep, birds sleep, all mammals sleep, right? Even worms sleep. Worms are 500 million years old. And if these guys are sleeping, there needs to be some type of evolutionary explanation of why this is so important. And I've really got three main categories that break down that I think you need to know about that are impacted by our sleep and help you perform optimally. The first thing that I want to talk about is your cognition and your learning. Okay? During these deep levels of sleep, there's really two things happening in our brains. First, we're consolidating all the memories and stuff that we learned from the day previously, and then we're also priming our brains to get ready to accept new information for the next day. Have you ever tried to learn something new when you haven't been sleeping well? It's in one ear and out the other. Vice versa, have you ever tried to remember something that you learned the day before when you haven't been sleeping well? It's basically like you're amnesic. You can't even remember your own name, right? You can think about your brain as an inbox, okay, an email inbox, and all the time your brain is getting sent information, aka emails, and when things are functioning optimally and you're sleeping, you're able to store all those emails properly. But when you're not sleeping, your brain closes off the inbox and all this stuff bounces off, all the emails bounce because you can't store that information. Sleep is critical to you learning new information and being able to prime yourself to be able to accept new information the next day. So it's critical for learning. If you're like me and your business is teaching people or learning new things, it's huge. The second really important thing that happens when you sleep is your brain has a lymphatic system. If you're familiar with the lymphatic system, you ever got a cold and had like a swollen lymph node, you know about the lymphatic system. It takes toxins out of your bloodstream and you excrete them. Same thing happens in your brain. It's called the glymphatic system. When you sleep, this internal sewage system turns on in your brain and it clears out all the gunk that's built up there from the day. When you think about it, being active, just even being alive, is pretty harsh on your body. You're constantly making byproducts and building up toxins and respiring and digesting. You're doing all these things and toxins build up in your body, so we need to get them out. And when you sleep, you sleep deeply, this sewage system, this lymphatic system turns on and it removes all this toxic sludge from your brain. But when you're not sleeping, the sludge builds up and it can lead to things like dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer, right? So we need to be really careful that we're sleeping because it helps clean out the waste in our brain to make us function optimally the next day. So super, super important. The next big thing sleep has an impact on is our physical health, our cardiovascular health, our immune health, our hormonal health, really some core systems to our body. I read this one statistic that had me in bed for 8+ hours immediately, okay? It looked at 2 groups of men and it studied their testosterone levels. One group was sleeping 4 to 6 hours a night. The other group was sleeping 6 to 8 hours a night. And what they saw in the group of 4 to 6 hour men was that their testosterone levels were equivalent to that of somebody 10 years their senior. They aged their testosterone levels 10+ years simply by not sleeping enough. Think about how that's going to impact your reproductive health, your virility, just your energy on a day-to-day basis. You know, it's crazy. It has a deep impact on our hormones. It also has a deep impact on our immune system. Some of the studies I was reading, one bad night of sleep can decrease the amount of killer T cells you have in your body by 70%. Remember, these bad boys are the guys chomping up pathogens and cancer cells and keeping you safe. If you're not sleeping enough, you're suppressing your immune function, and you're leaving yourself susceptible to the onslaught of pathogens and disease, right? So it's critical that we are sleeping not only to promote our mental health, but also our physical health, our immune response, our immunity health. Another big area that sleep plays a role in when it comes to our physical health is our cardiovascular system, okay? When you think about sleep, it's really a natural blood pressure medication. You go to sleep, your heart rate goes down, you're breathing less, and your heart and your blood vessels have a chance to relax. But if you're not sleeping, it's constantly taxing your heart, and over time, that can lead to some pretty detrimental effects. If you sleep less than 6 hours a night, it's shown that you have a 200+% chance of having a stroke or a heart attack in your lifetime. 200%. By not sleeping more than 6 hours a night, okay? We have a natural experiment that happens every single year. It's called daylight savings. In the spring, we spring forward. And in ERs across the nation, we have a 24% increase of heart attacks and strokes on that day specifically compared to average. Now, I'm not saying that there's a total relationship there, but something to do with our heart health is affected by the way we sleep, and it matters, okay? So if you want to be healthy physically, you need to sleep. Then the last area that I want to talk about is just our emotional well-being, okay? Have you ever tried to function optimally when you haven't slept well? How do you feel? You're pissed off, you're bitter, you don't really want to do much, but when you get 9 hours of sleep, how great do you feel, right? You want to help old ladies cross the street, you want to help your coworker, you're just in a better mood. It has attacks on how we show up emotionally. And one of the research studies I was reading showed that we talked earlier about how it affects our ability to remember things. You actually remember more negative things when you sleep less. Can you imagine not only what effect that would have on a day, but a week, a month, a year? These constant negative thoughts coming to the top of mind where all the good stuff is hidden behind the background. So it matters how we show up emotionally whether or not we're sleeping. So this is the really foundational argument for why we need to sleep more. It affects so many areas of our life. You could be a completely different person just by sleeping a little bit more every single night. So big idea number 2 is, what is getting in the way of a good night's sleep, right? What are some of those things getting in the way? And there's really 3 big ideas I want to share with you guys. First and foremost is you don't have a why for getting up, right? There's nothing getting you up in the morning. There's no purpose. There's no reason that you need to show up. So it doesn't matter what time you go to bed or if you feel like crap, because it's just another day, right? We need to have a strong why for getting up. Secondly, we're inconsistent. We're going to bed at different times. We're waking up at different times. We need consistency in our schedule. We need to get our circadian rhythm back on track, and that's preventing us from being able to sleep well. And then thirdly, we need to limit the amount of stimulation that we're getting. One of the number one reasons that people can't sleep at night is because of anxiety. It's never been easier to take work home with you, and it's never been harder to get away from a screen, right? Blue light. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. So getting away from stimulation and helping ourselves wind down. So big idea number 3 is, what are we going to do about it, right? You guys ready for some tools and tactics? Let's break down how we're going to get a good night's sleep. So first and foremost, we need to address the why. I was reading this research study that was trying to influence people to have and follow good health outcomes or procedures. So they wanted to help people sleep better. What are some things we can do to have people implement these tools around sleep? So they had 2 different groups. One group attached more of an ambiguous kind of role to why sleep is so important, like it's going to help me live longer, it's going to make me feel healthier, yada, yada, yada. But then the second group actually had to take a really tactical, concrete, how is your sleep tonight going to affect who you're going to be tomorrow? And what they found is that those people actually were more likely to follow through with the sleep tips and tactics that the researchers had shared with them and implement them. And this just goes to show that we need to have a concrete why about why we're doing this, okay? Why are you going to bed? Why is it worth going to bed a little bit earlier and maybe missing out on Netflix or TV? It's because how you sleep tonight has a direct impact on the person you show up tomorrow to be, right? You're going to become a better spouse. You're going to be a better coworker. You're going to be a better community member. You're going to be a better father, a better son. You show up better tomorrow because of who you are tonight. And going to bed and sleeping more makes you a better person tomorrow. And if you can drill that in your head, that's when the switch flipped for me. A lot of us have control over our mornings and evenings. Sleep does not start when you go to bed. It starts hours in advance. And so many of us are choosing entertainment at night when we should be focusing on our purpose. We're trading off our purpose for entertainment. Instead of getting ready for bed and winding down and really honing in on who we're going to be tomorrow because we're sleeping well, we're watching Netflix. We're watching Queen's Gambit. We're drinking, alcohol. We're playing video games. We're doing all these. We're eating a bunch of food and sweets that are keeping us up. We're not doing things that are going to make us a better person tomorrow because we don't have that clear why of what we're sacrificing. So something I really want to drill into your minds is that every choice you make not to make sleep a priority, you're going against your purpose that you have in life. And that's so important because how you sleep directly impacts the way you show up tomorrow. If I told you could be a better father, wife, husband, spouse, whatever it might be tomorrow because of the way you sleep, would you spend time watching Netflix or playing video games? Probably not, because you knew it had a direct impact on how you showed up. So it's super important to have a strong why. Are you going to choose to be entertained, or are you going to choose to step into your purpose and get sleep so you can show up better tomorrow? It's super critical, okay? So that's the first idea, find a strong why and passion. That one's a little bit more esoteric. Here's a more concrete example. We need to address the fact that we have inconsistent sleep schedules. Whether you know it or not, we have this natural biological rhythm called the circadian rhythm. Okay, it's a natural time that you wake up and you go to bed. 90+% of the genes in our body are in some way related to the circadian rhythm. That means 90+% of our body functions in accordance with the circadian rhythm. Our digestive tract, our respiratory tract, our hormonal system, our reproductive system, all these different things are somehow attuned to the circadian rhythm, right? So let's say you're somebody who usually goes to bed at 10 o'clock during the weeks, but on the weekends you're staying up till 1 a.m., you're partying, you're doing whatever. Your body is like, hey, what the heck is going on, right? I'm supposed to be getting ready to get into a deep REM sleep and this guy's still up. There must be something wrong, right? So you go into flight or fight. If you are sleeping, you're going to be sleeping less and you're going to be sleeping shallower because your body's worried that something's wrong because you're not going in that consistent schedule. And it's these constant disruptions that are throwing our whole body out of whack. So what we need to really reinforce is going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time so your body has a predictable rhythm that it can follow to do the processes that it needs to do to show up at its best the next day. Okay, so that's the second tactic I have for you. Go to bed at the same time every single night and wake up at the same time every single night. Now, the third idea is to address all the onslaught of stimulation and work, and all the different stimulants are like light, alcohol, food, nicotine, stress. All these different things are stimulants that are keeping us up at night. So what we want to implement is what I call the PM bookend, okay? Talking about the circadian rhythm, 100 years ago, we didn't have all this ubiquitous light and bombardment of stimulation all the time, right? You had fires and the moon. But now there's so much light everywhere, we have shifted out of proportion kind of what our natural cycle is, and it's constantly stimulating us. So we need to actively try and protect ourselves from this stimulation. So what are the ways we can do that? We need to implement a PM bookend, and the PM bookend is super simple. I follow the 10-3-2-1-0 method. So let me share that with you guys. 10 hours before bed, no caffeine. Stop drinking caffeine. Caffeine wires you up. It prevents the molecules that help you feel sleepy from getting to you, so you feel energized and it's hard to fall asleep. 10 hours beforehand, no caffeine. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 hours. It takes a long time for it to digest. You need to cut it out 10 hours before you sleep, okay? 3 hours before bed, you need to stop eating or drinking anything that's not water, okay? This goes for alcohol, food. Your body does not need to be focusing on detoxifying, which alcohol is a toxin to your body. It does not need to be focusing on detoxing your body, okay? It needs to be focused on getting ready for sleep. Your body does not need to be focused on digestion, okay, which is why we don't have large meals before bed. We need to be focusing on getting ready for sleep. So 3 hours before bed, nothing besides water, okay? 2 hours before bed, no more work. I call this shutdown complete, okay? 2 hours before bed, no more work. There's no sense getting yourself jacked up and riled up about sending an email, or you can get to it the next day. There's nothing that important where you can't get to it tomorrow morning. Your sleep is more important. You showing up as a better person is more important than work. So 2 hours before bed, no more work. And then 1 hour before bed, no more screens. This is the hardest one for me. I put my blue blockers on, but sometimes you want to watch TV and wind down, but try and read a book, go for a walk, relax, meditate, yoga. 1 hour before bed, try to limit the amount of screens that you have. Get a pair of blue blockers like I have. They're phenomenal, really, really help. Okay, and then the zero. The zero stands for no snooze. When you snooze, not only are you disrupting the level of sleep you're getting, you're not as getting as deep sleep, but you're laying in bed longer, which allows you to then stay up longer the next day and it's a self-fulfilling cycle. Snoozing, if the first thing you're doing in the morning is procrastinating, you're already off on a bad foot. So the 0 stands for zero snooze. So let me repeat the PM booking for you. 10 hours before bed, no caffeine. 3 hours before bed, nothing besides water. 2 hours before bed, no more work. 1 hour before bed, no screens, and 0 snoozes, okay? If you follow this and do these simple things, you will be a different person. If I'm talking to you right now and I could see you, you will be a different person by the next time I see you if you implement this stuff. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what your favorite big idea was down below. If you want help implementing any of these tactics, I'm gonna drop a link for free 30 minutes of coaching, absolutely free. I just wanna help you sleep better or implement any of these tactics you're learning on my channel. Feel free to sign up, we'll talk, and I'll help you implement it when we talk during that 30 minutes. Feel free to drop any comments of things that you wanna see in the future, different videos or topics you want me to cover, and please subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. And if I don't talk to you guys in the comments, I will talk to you next week on next week's mastery lesson.